text says that when Jesus first received the news about Lazarus, the report was, listen, the one whom you love is sick. Let's take a moment and reflect upon this, because Lazarus was sick. But his sickness did not disqualify him from being a friend of Jesus. Sickness manifests itself in a variety of ways. It doesn't matter how long you've been in church or how long you've been saying you love God. All of us in this place have some sicknesses in our lives. There is something wrong with all of us. We live in such a judgmental world where people would like to believe there's nothing wrong with them because they have mastered the art of coming together, looking sanctimonious, throwing together theological phrases in an attempt to convince us that there are no flaws in you. But I say it again, all of us have some sicknesses. Oh, but the good news is that our sickness does not disqualify us from relationship with God. People are quick to say how many hypocrites are in the church. But if you find the perfect church, please don't join it, because you're going to mess it up. God has no perfect churches because he has no perfect people. Church is not a social club where people have suites and special seats. The church is a hospital where sick people show up every week, but who know a doctor who makes house calls. His name is Jesus. Some of us are in intensive care. Some of us have worked our way out to rehab, but all of us are in the hospital. I would be remiss. People around this world, and even here now, have the tension in their spirit. What is the response of the church in a moment like this? Oh, I know that's the big elephant in the room. What says the church in a moment like this? And people want to know. I stand between two places. That's priest and prophet. It's priest to this family and ministering to them, but yet prophet to speak to this generation of what thus said God. There was a woman one day caught in adultery, and the religious people brought her to Jesus, and they said to Jesus, the law says she should be stoned. Jesus knelt down and drew in the sand. He looked up and said, ye without sin, cast the first stone. They begin to drop their stones from the youngest to the oldest. And I have come to declare over America and over this world, it's time to have a stone dropping service. Drop your stone. Next time you write about Steve McNair, drop your stone. Next time you text somebody, drop your stone. Next time you Twitter, drop your stone. Those of you in the barber shops, the beauty shops, those of you walking the streets on the corner, drop your stone. What I do know about this man was that he loved God. And though he was just like us, imperfect, but he knew God. I remember in 2005, Michelle, you know this, after my wife passed away, I was driving down the street and looked at my phone, and there it was, Steve. And he just had a way of just saying, Bishop, I just want you to know, man, I'm thinking about you and praying for you. He knew God. When he went to Baltimore and brought the team by the house, he said, I want my bishop to come by and pray. I didn't know if he wanted me to pray for the victory of the Ravens or the Titans. But I prayed. And then late one night when I believe he had talked with some of his teammates, and he called me about 11:30 one night and said, "Bishop, I need to talk to you about my career. I just need a word of wisdom." And I shared with him that night, and I prayed with him and told him to think about his children and his wife and to think about his body, and had nothing else to prove. And that next morning, he announced his retirement. Mary and Martha said, "If you had been here, this would not have happened." But Jesus answered the question and said, "I am the resurrection." That what you are looking for is standing in front of you. And for those of you who are wondering where God is in this, Jesus says, "I am." When you ask who's going to help you get through this, he says, "I am." When you ask who's going to be my father now, remember he says, "I am." When you ask who's going to give me peace at night, Michelle, to help me sleep, he says, "I am." When Jesus shows up, they buried Lazarus. It had been 4 days, and after 4 days, the Hebrews believed decomposition sets in. There is no possibility of hope. And Jesus says, "Show me where you lay him." Because there is possibility among those who we have written off. And those in the crowd, even his own sister, some in his own family said, "But wait a minute, Jesus, he stinks. He's been dead 4 days. He stinks." And isn't it amazing how we live in a world where we would define people by their conditions rather than their contributions? We define people by their problems rather than their potential. People are captivated by the stench in our lives, but there will be some stench in all of our lives when we die. But thank God that when they called him stinky, Jesus did not subscribe to what the culture subscribed to. Jesus did not call him what some bloggers would have. He did not call him what some surfers of the net would have. He called him by his name. "Lazarus, come forth." And so we are committed tonight. We are committed tonight to the integrity of this man's legacy. We will do as Jesus did. We will call him by his name. You're free now, Steve. You're free now. Doubters can't stop you.